Yes, so let's look at market breakdown. So we start with gold and we're looking at it from the weekly time frame. So from the weekly time frame here, we're just looking at where price is, we see a strong bullish break, and this break has gone past these other highs here. So if we were to mark it like that, so that is an area of structural break. So the moment we have established this, we could see almost the same thing has been happening here. So we've been having strong breaks here also to push price up. And then we had another strong break here that has pushed price up. But in this scenario here, the trick is to look at this bullish candle that created the difference. Like here we have a strong bullish, and then now we have a strong bullish. So once we have this, you realize once this strong bullish happened, the market pulled back and then went up. Pulled back, went up. So what could happen also here, we could have a scenario where price could pull into this area and then to continue. So if this is what you have established as what we want, then we need to understand how price is going to pull into this region to continue. But for us to get that clearly, we have to come to a lower time frame. So let's say the 4-hourly. So on the 4-hourly, we need to also study price around here. So if you look, this is the all-time high that gold has been, but now it is broken. So once it is broken, we could actually look for a scenario where the market has to come to retest this to continue up. But then now we have these other demand areas here. So this last bearish candle here. So instead of the price coming to break and retest, this is what could actually happen. It could pull back all the way into these opposite candles here, which is the demand or the last price that actually led to this break. So once we have that, then we can begin to know that if price pulls into this area, this is where our next support will happen. But then the question is now, how is price going to come down to this area? So the best option is to study price here. As it continues, you want to see a scenario where if the price has given you a high and then a new low. So once price gives you a new low here, and then you would want to see whether price will come to break this high or it will fail to break this high to make a new lower low. So the moment price does this, that's when we can have the scenario where price could actually pull back into this area. So what we want to see is another resistance being formed here throughout next week. That's when we can begin to think of this. But this is what we have on gold. So all you have to do is to be patient. Then going on to the next pair that we are looking at, let's look at the Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, we have to look at it also from the weekly time frame. So on the weekly time frame, if you study it from here, you realize that this was a strong break like we had in the previous pair. But then with this strong break, we had an area of demand here, or what you would call your price difference area. And that is the area in which you also get your support. So the moment we mark this like that, we see clearly here price came to retest this and then it's pulling back up. So if price is pulling back up here, we need to also study another strong break. So we had an area of strong break here. So this could be also another supply area. And then to be specific, we can just put it on above this here as our high. So let's just do it like that. So that will be our high. Because what you see from here is price comes to form a new low, goes, fails to break the previous high, and like that. So price on Bitcoin has actually been in a downtrend, but then with the market coming down, not forming new highs. So the next scenario which could happen here, we could also have a pullback into this area, and then price continue to drop down. But we need to study how that is going to be possible here. We can come to a lower time frame, which is the 4-hourly. So on the 4-hourly, this definitely becomes our resistance area. So this area here becomes our next resistance area. So we want to see how price is going to play out when it reaches there. So from this resistance area here, let me just, we could have a scenario whereby price comes into this and then gives us another low or head and shoulders to continue down. So we have not yet established that price could actually break this. So the next place we really want to see is whether there will be a break of these other highs here. If it happens, then we have another high here. So this is what we have on BTC. We just want to observe it around here and then around here to see whether price can come back down to this support. So for us to trade here, we want to see a head and shoulder or a double top. That's when we can begin to look for sales. So with that being said, we can go to the next pair, and that will be GBP/USD. So we want to also look at GBP/USD on the weekly time frame. So the pound dollar on the weekly time frame, how does it look like and what are our prospects? So, but before that, let me just take us to the monthly time frame so that we can have a better picture. So on the monthly time frame, if you study price from the left here, we have a strong bearish break, which we call our price difference here. And that is where the next resistance is going to be formed, because this is where the break occurred to form for price to come back down. So meaning when price approaches these heights, we will begin to look for shorting opportunities. But let's study how price moved up here. So you can clearly see a strong break here. This was our support. And then price also went from a high here and then gives us another low here. And then we had other lows here as price went up. And now we have a demand area here. So if I'm to just mark the whole of this, that is a demand area. Then from here, we see a structural break here. This break on the monthly, you see this high. This candle broke to form a new high. And now price pulled back to retest this. So this is like a break, retest to continue upward into these other resistance here. So the moment we have this, we can now come to the weekly and we want to study price here. So you can see, and to be specific, this becomes now our demand area in case price breaks past this and then continues into this area. So this is where we would be looking for buying opportunity in case price pulls back into this area. However, we need to study these lows here, this break and retest. So we have a weekly low here, which could also act as our potential support. And then we have a high, a weekly high here, which could also act as our resistance and then resistance. So price is in between this and then is retested here. So we can understand it better when we come to the 4-hourly. So on the 4-hourly, we need to study price here. So clearly you can see from this structural break here, we have our demand here. Let me just do it like that to cover for this. And then we have our high here. So what we could actually see, we could see a scenario, because what you see here, you see a scenario where the market has given you a high, from this high, a low, and then from this low, we have a pullback to another high, and then another lower low. So what we have a high here. So we want to see how this high is, whether it's going to come back to break past this other high, or from here, we could actually have a reversal into this area. And then we study price around here, whether this area will hold. If it doesn't hold, then we can break it to come back to this. And this is where we want to buy from. So meaning what we want to study here is whether this supply area here would actually hold price. That is the most important part we now are studying now, whether this will hold price. Or if it doesn't, we could actually have a scenario where we have this trend. Okay, so this is the most important part now, whether this could hold. So if this holds and doesn't go past this, then we know we are coming into this. And then from here, we want to wait for a break, either to the upside or to the downside, for us to be able to trade. So GBP GU is in a very critical place, a place where we just need to observe and watch. Because in the 4-hourly, we're still on a downtrend because the market has continued to form low, and then has failed to break this high, and then this other high. So we have a scenario where the market could actually fail to break this high and continue downwards. So that's what we have on GU. Then let's come to the last one, which is the EURUSD. So we want to see how EURUSD is actually performing also. Again on the, let's start from the weekly. So on the weekly, we can clearly tell here, this is our high. We just mark our lows and highs, and then we have other highs here, and we have this other high. So let's just work with this this high and then this high. And then from here, what do we have? We have a structural break here to give us this weekly low. And then from here, we know we are trading around here. So we want to study price around here. So we can clearly see there's a high here. Okay. So now we have a resistance, and then a support here. So the moment we have this, we can come to a lower time frame, say the 4-hourly. We also study it. So on the 4-hourly, we have a scenario which is very critical. So we have this as our high, and then we have our support here. So what do you see here is a scenario where the market has continued to form lower lows. So from here, the market came to form a low here, and then a high here, and then a lower low here, and then pulling back now. We want to see whether this could actually pull back all the way to this, or from here, it could just reverse. So that's what we have on Euro USD, meaning we are now watching price in between this supply. I want you to observe this strong bearish candle here. This is the supply area. And then this is our support here, which is also our demand. So it's almost the same thing with the other pair we just analyzed. So we are observing price in between here. We want to see whether this supply area will hold price or it won't. And if for you to be specific, you can just come to lower time frame, maybe 1 hour or something like that, and then you see exactly whether this will hold. So that's what we have on Euro USD. So we want to see whether this will hold or this one here. But the trend is still bearish on the 4-hourly. Okay, because we have a scenario whereby we have these highs and the market is failing to break these other highs here. So we have a high and a high, and the market is failing to break them. So we want to see whether we will break this. Then we can trade a retest of that. So this is what we have for you this week. See you.